What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another stimulus check update, stimulus package update news report for Thursday, March 25th. So here's what we're going to go over today, and we have a lot of updates. First, we're going to discuss the $1,400 stimulus checks. We need to talk about the $500 monthly stimulus checks, which is going to be more of a recurring stimulus check or a somewhat of a UBI. We're also going to talk about the new jobless claims numbers, the COVID funeral reimbursement fund, and also new talks on additional stimulus checks, which could potentially go longer than 1 year after the pandemic is over. So, like I said, we have a bunch of updates, so let's get right into it. First, the $1,400 stimulus checks are still having a lot of issues. We are still seeing many people that do not have their stimulus check. And these are not just people that are receiving a paper check and a prepaid debit card. What we know is the IRS has stated that they sent out another 37 million stimulus checks this week alone. They sent out 90 million last week, which means they are at roughly 128 million stimulus checks, and they need to get to roughly 158 million stimulus checks that are going to be distributed. But those 30 million stimulus checks, the majority of them are going to people on Social Security. Right now, lawmakers are asking, why is it taking so long to get the hardest hit individuals, people that need the money? They need it for medication. They need it for food, keep a roof over their head. They need this money. Why is it taking so long? Well, the IRS stated the other day that the Social Security Administration has still not provided the required paperwork that they need so that they can send out these funds. So, both departments can't come up with an answer right now as to what is going to happen next, but lawmakers are saying that they have until today to provide an answer as to what they're going to do. But what happens if they don't provide an answer? As of right now, we don't know, but my guess is we will find out later on this evening. Now, here's something else we do know. We do know that millions of Americans have already received their stimulus checks and are putting it to good use. That is great. But the problem is that some of the hardest hit individuals have still not received their stimulus checks. Because here's what we know. We know people, our Social Security beneficiaries, are some of the hardest hit individuals, and so are very, very low income families, which many do not have a bank account, so do not get direct deposit. Well, if you don't get direct deposit, what do you have to wait for? You have to wait for a paper check or a prepaid debit card. Well, here's the issue. Prepaid debit cards, paper checks, and the money going to Social Security beneficiaries, those checks, so all three of those, are being delayed. They're all being delayed. So, it's creating a big issue for the IRS. And this is what's causing many lawmakers to look into different ways of providing for those that are currently in need. This is where some people are saying that this could be the turning point for Social Security. And we could see more lawmakers will hopefully start additional talks on ramping up benefits for SSI, SSDI, Railroad, and VA beneficiaries. So, that is the good news. The bad news is it comes at a cost. So we will see. Right now, we are seeing that lawmakers are looking towards the future and wondering how they can make things better. What we do know is everybody wants a very fast economic recovery, and in doing so, right now they want the plans to support their end goal. So, here's where we're at today. The new jobless claims came in, and the number fell to 684,000 new jobless claims for last week alone. That is actually good news. This number was expected to be right around 735,000 jobless claims for last week alone, yet it came in about 50,000 jobless claims under what was supposed to be there. Now, this is also the lowest level in more than 1 year, which means we are heading in the right direction. This is good news. However, we do know there is more relief that is still to come, and many lawmakers are doing whatever they can to push additional aid to the American people. For instance, in Oakland, California, they have just approved a program to guarantee $500 per month in income to low-income households. That is really good. This program will expire in 18 months, and this is expected to help at least 600 families in the Oakland area. That is a big deal. Now, even though it's a small number, it only helps out 600 families. It's only for $500 per month per household. And some are going to say that's not a lot of money, which in some cases it's not a lot of money. But if the household only makes, let's say, $3,000 per month, and they're going to get 1/6 of that as a, somewhat of a universal basic income, a guaranteed income, I bet most people are not going to turn that away. But Oakland is not the only city that is trying this universal basic income. Some are currently trying it in other cities. There's about 40 cities across the United States that are currently doing this. For instance, Stockton, California, Baltimore, Maryland, Houston, Texas, and even Madison, Wisconsin are all taking part in something very similar to this. Now, if you live in one of those cities and you need additional income, chances are you never heard of these programs. And here's the reason why. Many of these programs do not go out there and just blast that, hey, we're going to sign up, low-income families, come and apply. That's usually not what they do. They usually reach out to specific families that they know are actually the hardest hit, and they try to help them out. And it's usually just a test to see how does it work in their community, how does it work in their city. If it works, it's productive, and it helps lift people out of poverty, then more and more cities are going to do this exact same thing. So that is kind of where we're at right now. So what I can tell you is just be on the lookout, because there are a lot of states, a lot of cities that are going to have some excess funding, and you may see something like an additional stimulus check, maybe $300, $400, maybe $600 per month. You might see a monthly stimulus payment, maybe $500 per month, and you might see other things, rental assistance, additional nutrition assistance and stuff like that the state, city, or county is going to provide. So just be on the lookout. I promise I will keep you up to date on any of those things in the meantime. But here's something else we are hearing in the meantime. We're getting a huge push for an additional stimulus check to those that are currently in need. Currently, there are many different reports of different proposals out there that some lawmakers are working on. Some are saying we're going to see an additional $1,200 stimulus check. Some are saying no, it's going to be a $500 stimulus check and we need it to be monthly. Some are saying no, we need to do a quarterly stimulus check and let this go on for about another year to provide some income, a guaranteed income for all these families. Well, the main proposal at this time that is really getting some traction is one that actually is being pushed by many lawmakers, mainly Rashida Tlaib and Pramila Jayapal. So this proposal, and I addressed this yesterday, is called the ABC Act. Now, this would provide $2,000 per month until this pandemic is over. This would go to every single American. Now, it doesn't specify if there's an income limitation or not. My guess is there would be, but it just says every single American. It also then states that they would provide $1,000 per month for 1 year after the pandemic is over. Again, this would go to every single American. So, here's what we know. This would be a $24,000. Let's say the pandemic lasts another year. This would mean we all get $24,000. And then for a year after the pandemic, we will be guaranteed $12,000. So that's a lot of money, up to maybe 24 plus 12, so $36,000 in stimulus payments. That's a lot of money. I don't know if Congress is going to go for that. Again, I've said this before. I think this is going to open the door for not a monthly stimulus check, but a larger, we could potentially see a $2,000 one-time stimulus check sometime in the future. I'm not going to rule that out because there's a lot of people pushing for $2,000. So we will see what happens. But right now, the push for additional stimulus checks is actually getting stronger because so many questions are still out there as to when will this pandemic be over? Will we see a $15 minimum wage provision in the next bill? What will the Build Back Better plan look like and how will it benefit the American people? Will we see another wave of COVID cases? We've already seen them over in Europe. Just the other day, Brazil had its highest death toll in one single day since this pandemic has begun. And they're people are wondering, will the jobs come back just like many people are expecting? But all these questions have a lot of answers that have not been given. We don't know. We have no clue what's happening, and all these answers are coming in too slow. Something else that we haven't brought up in probably a couple weeks, and this is actually good news. There is going to be relief for the COVID burial costs if you did lose a loved one. Okay. First off, just want to say I'm very sorry for your loss. I know a lot of people lost people, and that's tough. Over 500,000 people end up dying due to this pandemic. But we do have some more details from FEMA regarding this program. First off, the program is going to open in April. We do not have an exact date. We don't know if it's going to be April 1st, April 10th, April 20th. We have no idea. But what we are hearing is that just have your receipts ready. Make sure you have the death certificate ready as well, and have all this stuff saved on your computer so that you can quickly apply. This money will most likely run out fairly quickly. We also know the max benefit is going to be $9,000 per funeral. Okay, so if it costs you $20,000, you can still get a $9,000 reimbursement. If it costs you $8,000, you can only get a $8,000 reimbursement. Okay, they're not going to give you an additional $1,000. So just keep that in mind. There's going to be no means testing, which means that everybody qualifies no matter what your income is. The only stipulation is the death has to be due to COVID. It can't be that, somebody died in a motorcycle accident and so you want to get reimbursed. That doesn't work. This is strictly for COVID-related deaths. It even says even undocumented residents will qualify for this. However, here's the stipulation. The person that applies, the applicant, they need to be, I believe, a resident. Okay, they either need to be a U.S. citizen, they can be a non-U.S. citizen but a resident, and then they can be, you'll have to look into that, but it gets a little bit iffy there. But again, it's only one application per burial. So you can't go and apply, okay, and then you can't go and have your family member apply for the same burial. Okay, it's just one application per burial. And that's where they're going to kind of be a little bit of a stickler, is they're going to try to look at your death certificate that you are providing and make sure it doesn't match up with any other death certificate. So just keep that in mind. The application process, it might take a little bit simply because they do have to verify. And again, chances are there's going to be additional fraud happening here. So this is another thing that they're going to look into. And this is why there has to be pretty much a human review on every single case, which is going to slow down the process. And then as far as the checks will either be sent through a paper check right to your mailbox, or it'll be sent through direct deposit. So it's good news there. But in other news, the United States has reported 79,440 cases of COVID yesterday alone and 1,591 deaths. The cases are expected to go up over the next couple of weeks due to the fact that many people are going on spring break. So we will see what happens there. We also know that over 40 states have currently said that they will either meet or beat President Biden's expectation of a May 1st vaccine eligibility for adults. So May 1st is kind of his deadline, or that's what his goal. And over 40 states are currently saying they will either meet it or beat it. So that is good news there. Lastly, President Biden is going to hold his first press conference later on today. Many expect President Biden will be questioned on the Build Back Better plan. I am hoping we get a lot more answers on that. Many also say they want answers as to what is planned in his tax hikes, because right now nobody really knows. But as we know more, I promise I will keep you updated on everything that we're hearing. Right now, that is all we have for today. So again, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.